Quality education is goal number 4 on the list of 17 Sustainable Development Goals set up by the United Nations in 2015. The UNICEF Research 2020 has it that about 13.2 million children are not in school in Nigeria, even though primary education is officially free and compulsory. This means 1 in every 5 of the world's out-of-school children is in Nigeria. One of the reasons for this development is the challenge of funding. UNESCO recommends a 15 to 20% budget allocation to education.
Budget, a civil society organization, recently released a report. This report was an analysis of the allocation to the educational sector in the 2021 budget. Welcome to Oversight. I'm Charles Emuze. Tolu Tope is a research analyst with budget. We spoke to him to provide an insight to this report. Listen to this.
What is the Unesco recommendation? It says we should budget 15 to 20% of our budgetary or total budget size should be what's channeled to the education sector. Whether you had the TED fund allocation to it, we're still doing less because adding TED fund allocation to it simply means we are at 8.05. Without the TED fund, it's 5.56%. Over the years, the federal government have not been putting out the information around funds that are going to TED fund. But this year, I think during public hearings, there are lots of questions that arises from citizens or CSOs that are participating in the public hearing. That why is government not meeting the UNESCO recommendation? And they will tell you if you had other states' allocation on education, then we might still meet up. But then if you're going to do that, we still don't meet up because we're taking an allocation of education sector of the total budget size. So if you're doing that for the 36 states, it simply means that the total budget size will definitely increase while the allocation to the education sector will still be small. Now, we don't really pay too much attention to what goes into recurrence normally because the education sector is what it is in terms of having too much personnel, teachers, lecturers, non-teaching staff. So all of them fall into the recurrent basket, which is also the payment of salaries, which is personnel, and also the overheads, the running of the institution. So we have over 200 agencies under the education sector at the federal level. So imagine having that huge number of agencies. It simply means that we will keep on spending a lot of money on recurrent while the capital will suffer. Now for the capital performance, because none of our business will be recurrent, salaries will be paid. If not, you have the civil servants on the streets protesting for salaries, right? But the one that concerns the citizens the most are the capital projects, which are under the capital expenditure. In terms of the performance, in 2015, we had an allocation of 23.5 billion for the capital project. However, what was released was 13.83 billion. What was cashed back was still 13.83 billion. But at the end of the day, what was used was 13.03. So we had a difference of 796 million. Where's the money? We don't know. What was budgeted for was high. What was released was low. Now we need revenue to fund the budget. So government could come up to say we didn't make enough revenue to be able to fund that capital project for that year. So that could be the excuse. However, with what was released and what was utilized, we still have a huge difference of 796 million. That's for 2015. For 2016, the capital allocation to the education sector was 36.43 billion. But for the cashback was 22.64. What was utilized was 20.82 billion. The difference was 1.8 billion. Where's the money? What was released, what was cashback, and what was utilized? So where's the rest of the money? In 2017, Education sector had 56.7 billion, right? What was released was 33.42 at the end of 1 year. What was cashed back was 33.42 billion. What was utilized was 31.6. The difference also is 1.81 billion. In 2018, the allocation to the education sector is 102.9 billion. What was released was 63.02. What was cashed back was 63.02, same amount. What was utilized was 46.51 billion. We have a difference of 16.5 billion. All this information, you can get it in the budget implementation report, which is stored in the Budget Office website. Now for 2019, capital allocation for the education sector is 58.89 billion. What was released was 28.1 billion. What was also cashed back, same amount, 28.1 billion. What was utilized was 21.95. So we have a difference of 6.13 billion. For 2020, that information is not out yet. Why? Because what we have in the Budget Office website is the first and second implementation reports. So we need the third and the fourth implementation reports to be able to sum up what has been released to each MDA and what has been utilized. So that information is not there. Right now, what we are implementing is the 2021 budget. However, the third and the fourth implementation report, like I mentioned earlier, is yet to be published. If you talk to UBEC, for example, UBEC is the Universal Basic Education Commission, and if you ask them for the data of the number of out-of-school children, and they will tell you that that number has reduced from 13.5 to 10.5 million. Great news, right? However, we still have a lot of students out there who are still, so normally we use the term the Amajiris, and the administration of the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, tried all his possible best to create schools for these children, to take them from the streets to the school. Now, that initiative was abandoned, right, when we had a new government. However, the number will still definitely increase based on the happenings within our society now, the kidnappings and the like. So, because as a parent, you would rather see your child safe than sending your child to the school, which has a possibility of him or her being kidnapped. So, funds that are allocated to capital expenditure for the education sector are still not well utilized. So, we can cry foul to say, oh, lots of funds are not going to the education sector, but the little that is going to this sector, how well are these funds utilized? So we still have issues of misappropriation, abandoned projects. We have substandard projects that are done at the end of the day, where students still don't have access to some of this quality education.
You've just heard our research analysts reel out figures of monies unutilized in the education sector from 2015 till 2019. For a better understanding of this and its implications, we decided to speak to the Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation. Listen to this.
What it implies is that within the fiscal period and the validity period of that particular budget, that agency, or in this case, the education sector, maybe some agencies there, were not able to fully, utilize the capital releases that were made to them. The way the process works is that the agency receives the capital release funding from the Treasury. But then there are processes that must be satisfied before you can pay out government funds to a contractor or service provider. So until those processes are completed, they cannot pay. So the funds sit with those agencies pending the conclusion of the processes. And sometimes, if that doesn't happen by the close of the financial year, the GIFMIS is designed such that on the 31st of December each year, the system automatically shuts out everybody. You can't utilize those funds any longer.
I don't understand. It is bad that MDAs often do not receive 100% of capital projects funding requested for. Even worse is the fact that some of these MDAs don't fully utilize the little funds that have been released in the fiscal year. These unutilized funds could easily have been converted to projects such as classrooms, schools, and other infrastructure needed to improve the education sector in Nigeria. We go to Anambra State in southeast Nigeria to track some projects, but before we do that, here is what you should know.
Anambra is located in the southeastern region of Nigeria. Formed in 1976 from the former East Central State, the state is named after the Anambra River. The indigenous ethnic group in Anambra State are the Igbo, and a small population of Igala, who live in the western part of the state. Anambra State has 21 local government areas and 3 senatorial districts, namely Anambra North, Anambra South, and Anambra Central. In 2021, Anambra State received a total allocation of 2.8 billion naira from the zonal intervention funds known as constituency projects. Girls Secondary School, Okija, was founded in 1964 with a student population of over 1,000. Poor infrastructure and classroom overcrowding are some of the current challenges the school now faces. When it rains, it becomes a nightmare for the students and teachers.
If you look at the major building in this, the 2-story building in this school being used as classrooms, the building is almost dilapidated. It will come down, it will collapse any day. This coming rainy season, I am afraid. Every rainy season, I don't sleep well. Please, I appeal to the government to come to our head. Let them come and renovate this building. I mean the one we are already using is almost collapsed. The classrooms are compacted. When I heard the news of this new classroom, 4-classroom block that was brought to this place, I thank God. I received it with joy. The project was started December 17, 2019. But as time went on, everything came to a halt. Nothing has been done. By now, the project would have been completed. So I don't know what is the problem.
The project for the construction of 4 blocks of classrooms at Girls Secondary School in Anambra State was nominated in the 2019 budget by Senator Uche Ekunife. It received an allocation of 15 million naira. The contractor was Biak Business Options Limited in Abuja, and the agency responsible for this project is the National Directorate of Employment, NDE. I had no idea the NDE could engage in construction projects. We made several efforts to reach out to distinguished Senator Uche Ekunife, who nominated this constituency project. Here is one of the messages I sent to her. Good morning, distinguished. I'm Charles Emuze from Channels Television. I'd like your comment on one of your constituency projects in Okija. Kindly let me know a convenient time to call you, ma. Thank you. We made several other attempts, all to no avail. We hope that the distinguished senator will follow up with the responsible agency to ensure a timely completion of this classroom project.
Over the years, our findings has revealed that a lot of agencies that do not have the capacity to implement projects, their projects have been nominated under those agencies, which I think is a very wrong idea, because in terms of evaluation, you want to evaluate the cost of the project. I don't think it's really good for us as a country, because let's take, for instance, now in 2021 zonal intervention project, we discovered that over 1,112 projects are under agencies that do not have the capacity to implement them. Then over 250 million naira project for the construction of solar street lights was being allocated to a School of Oceanography and Marine. These are the agencies that are supposed to train people on fishery and stuff like that. So how do you take a project on solar panel lights to an oceanography agency that is supposed to talk about fishery? Then you look at also some of our findings in 2020 budget to a National Human Rights Commission, an agency that is supposed to look into human rights abuse, is also empowering people by buying empowerment, buying keke nape and stuff like that. So a lot of these things, from my own view of point, I see it as some of these lawmakers, they channel this project to agencies where they can really influence things. So that is why you see these agencies that do not have the capacity to implement projects. And it has caused a lot of problems where you see a lot of abandoned projects because of the evaluation plan is very low, because they could not really measure how much these agencies will use to execute this project. Why taking a school project to National Director for Employment, an agency that is supposed to talk more about employing people, empowering people with good jobs and stuff like that, now they are building schools. So I think what government should do is that they should look into this critically and allocate projects to agencies that have the capacity to implement it, so that they can evaluate it to know the cost and the plan and also the time frame of completion. So in 2020, we discovered that over 988 projects were allocated to agencies that do not have the capacity to execute them. For example, now we have a 71.5 million naira project for the supply of motorcycle and keke nape under Ministry of Science and Technology. These are agencies that are supposed to handle science-related issues, not supplying of empowerment provisions. So we think the solution is the government should talk to agencies that they should desist from projects that does not have the capacity, the expertise to implement. They should allow agencies that have the expertise to implement those projects, so that we will not have abandoned projects across the country. Because when you give a project to an agency that does not have the expertise to implement it, on the long run, they will mismanage that project and the project will not stand the test of time. So I think the government should look at this critically and try and address this problem for Nigeria, so that public funds will work for the good of people instead of the waste that we have across the country.
The saying, what isn't measured, isn't managed, is quite apt. According to Mr. Wadame, there are over 1,000 projects in the 2021 budget to be executed by agencies that lack the required capacity to implement them. These agencies cannot comprehensively evaluate and manage these projects. Therefore, there is a high chance that these projects will be poorly executed or abandoned. After we left Girls Secondary School, we proceeded to Umunanobi community, which is just a few kilometers away, to track another project, the construction of a pavilion for the community.
This project, I was nominated by the late PG, Dr. Edokso Fodile, the President General of Nobi, between 2016 to 2019. Definitely this project was initiated by His Royal Majesty Igwe Nick Obi, Omenyelin Nobi, the Igwe of Nobi. The project, as I said, was initiated by him. It was during the visit of Senator Victor Ume, representing Anambra Central, to his palace, that he requested that one of the consultative projects we started at Nobi, or rather in the Nobi, in 2017, and Senator Victor Ume affirmed his request by making it possible. In 2018, the Igbe was alerted and they informed the dead PG, Dr. Edokso Fodile, that the project will start soon. Definitely, as promised by Senator Victor Ume, we met some people that came to Igwe's Palace mid-2018. They came from Anambra River Basin, located at Uwere. They said their company was given the contract to do the project of the consultative project of the pavilion and the house we are seeing over there. Then they requested for a site plan. Nobi gave them the site plan. they went and modernized the plan to build this pavilion and the house. So when they came back later part of September in 2018 at Igbe's Palace, including myself to represent this community in Nobi, Igbe himself, who was the PG, we were there with other representatives from Nobi. So we all moved from that place with Igbe's permission to here. They took the measurement of these places. As I will tell you, the measurement stopped there. That was the measurement over there, to that place, to build this house and the pavilion. So as a matter of fact, they went back and came back definitely in 2019 to start this project. And then the name of the company is Dams. It is started over. If you go there, you take the picture of that place, Dams. And then they said it's in part 1 and part 2, or rather phase 1 and phase 2. And then they started with the building you are seeing there, the building here. That building you are seeing here, they started with building. And then when the building was completed, initially it wasn't completed ab initio. Because what they have there is the building, the toiletries, and they had not been finished. What they call the wall, the WCs and all this had not been fixed. You can go there and take the picture. The whole thing is there. You can see it for yourself. It had not been fixed. It's 50% done and 50% not done. So they said, okay, they will complete this project. And after about 3 months, they came back again and said they will start this pavilion. Then I said, okay, the pavilion is okay. They said they have now they presented their own architectural drawing, a structural drawing. They present their own, not our own again. And I said, okay. It's as I told the PG and the Igbe, they said we should go ahead and do it. So at the end of it, they started with this project. They did it from June 2019 to partially to November. But I asked a question because my question is this. Wouldn't this place has some pillars? Because this is pavilion. It's a mini stadium. Pavilion, it needs to have some structures at the back, pillars to hold this thing. They said, no problem. That is what the specification they gave to them. I said, who am I? It's not my field. I said, okay, then let's all see. So as a certain day, the thing started collapsing. I condemned it. They started again. So as a matter of fact, towards the end of November, I said I can't continue because before they said I have taken money, which I don't know. I don't talk about money. What I want this project to be completed so that we have a pavilion where we can be doing some social outings for the Igbes of Ala, for our Iliji, Ewaji, and what do you call it? Afiol Festival, because we have 3 major festivals. Ewaji, which happens to be in July, they do it here. And the other one is Asholo by Igwe and Ofala. We wanted this thing to be done here, and under social outings by Nobi citizens. So look at it now, and I said this thing has to stop. I told the engineer this thing has to stop because if you don't stop, I know there will be wastage of money. So I requested that it should stop until when things are put in right order, and it was stopped. And since then they have gone back. People have been asking questions. Igwe has been asking questions. I told Igwe this is what happened. So it wasn't what actually happened. He complained to Senator Victor Ume, who initiated the project, and Victor said he has handed over to everything to Anambra to do the project. And let me tell you, the essence of giving this contract to a far distant person is not okay for us because if I are going to award another contract by Senator Ucheku, who has taken over from Senator Victor Ume, it should be a contractor within the area. So that if anything happens, you can hold him responsible. So that's my own summary of everything and my own submission. So that this thing will be done properly. So nobody will be happy. It's over 2 years now. We're supposed to be using this place now, but nothing has been happening.
I told the engineer he's not supposed to start with the block. He's supposed to casting it step by step. Any place that I went or any place that I go, what I see in this pavilion is that casting, not to laying block. And laying block, I started laying block with 5 inches. Even 9 inches, maybe it can put stone on it to hold it. but he didn't do it. After that, the pavilion already collapsed.
All our efforts to reach Senator Victor Ome were unsuccessful. We hope that the distinguished senator will follow up with the responsible agency to ensure a completion of this pavilion project. The government agency responsible for the pavilion project in Umunanobi is the Anambra Imo River Basin Development Authority. Again, what has a river basin authority got to do with construction? Before we left Anambra State, something caught our attention. It is the Leprosy Center in Okija, Anambra State. Listen to this.
Okija is a large town in Ihiala local government area of Anambra State in southeast Nigeria. Situated within the town is the Okija Leprosy Hospital, which is believed to be a rehabilitation center for those with cases of leprosy. We spoke to inmates who told us that the lack of food and money makes it difficult for them to feed as well as send the children to school.
Our concern here is that there is no food to eat on a regular basis because there is no money to also buy other things. There is no money to send the children to school. There is no light, no water. It's good to have a fence around us and a gate for security reasons, so at night we can sleep without fear of being attacked. Those in authority hardly come here. Some time ago, one of the highly placed officials visited us. He gave us what he had for us and left, and since then, no official has visited. We have not had light for some time. Though work is in progress, but we are yet to have power supply. And so we decided to guard the area by locking it to prevent people from coming in. We're appealing to the government to please come to our aid. Let them make effort to visit us.
We don't have food to eat. We don't have money to pay our school fees. I want the government to help us so that we can feed ourselves.
Quite sad there. We do hope that the relevant authorities look into the plight of the inmates at the Okija Leprosy Center. For a successful project execution, concerted efforts must be made to narrow the gap between budgetary allocations and the amounts that are eventually released. We ask that you play your part in demanding transparency and accountability by getting involved. Ask questions. Till I come your way again, I am Charles Emuze. Thank you for watching.